Welcome to our first show in Series 2. This is episode 23, where we're going to meet Claudia Sellegard from Cercle d'Energie, and we're going to talk about holistic solutions and well-being.
Having successfully launched 3 businesses, bilingual mum to 2 and entrepreneur Antonia Brown has connected with thousands of people, both French and international, since moving to the French Riviera. These connections allow her to speak with successful local businesses and inspirational people about life here on the Côte d'Azur and share it with you. Welcome to the Riviera Firefly podcast with your host, entrepreneur, and my mum, Antonia Brown.
Well, I've been radio silent for a while, not because I've forgotten about you, but my feet have not touched the ground for a while, quite literally. My mum celebrated a milestone birthday this summer, and to mark it, well, I took some time out and we set off as a mum and daughter with my kids. So it was a real 3-generation knees up, visiting new and old places and meeting family that I didn't know I had for the very first time. It was a wonderful moment, a connection for the 3 generations, and I was really thankful for that moment. Well, given that we went with teens, we were all fairly fit, we were fairly mobile and ready to sightsee. And so it was a very liberating time away. There were even lie-ins because these aren't toddlers anymore. They don't get up so early. So very different from the holidays that we went on with my mum when they were toddlers. So this was really a very one-off experience, kind of Thelma and Louise in mindset. Girls just doing it together with, of course, my teenage boy, bien sûr. And we were just living in the moment and creating magical memories. And it was a very interesting balance, actually, because as we were just 4, there was 2 adults, 2 kids, and having that 3rd generation of my mum supporting any decisions that I made as a parent was really lovely. Sometimes when we go away with my parents, we're 6, so it means for a different dynamic, bigger cars, larger accommodation, or if my dad doesn't come, then we're just 5, which is an odd number. So this was really, really nice. Anyway, if you have the opportunity to go and spend some time with your mum or your dad, if you've still got that opportunity, doesn't matter which one you do it with, doesn't matter where you do it with, go and grab the moment now while you can. I'm really in the seizing the moment kind of feeling at the moment. So that kicks summer off. And then when the schools rest, well, as you know, me and my team, we don't. And we have been really busy with hundreds and hundreds of children all through the summer camps, and then with La Rentrée in September as well. So I started noting down some of my favourite activities from the holidays because it's some more holidays coming up and maybe you want to get out with your kids. This was one of the best summers, so I thought I'd share some of the favourites. The first one was the MACM, the Modern Art Contemporary Museum. It was an absolute must visit. We went along. It was a really hot day, but they had excellent air conditioning. And it's that kind of museum that has something for everyone. Really perfect for teenagers. They had the Greeks, they had the Egyptians, they had modern. And you just would not know that that museum hid such gems behind its doors. So hats off to the founder, Christian Levet, for this amazing gift on our doorstep. Now, I'd add a little tip in here that I've learned through doing many museum visits with Adoland, Kidduland, and of course as a mum with my own family, book the guided tour. The bilingual guide here in this museum, I thought she was really, really good. She really brought the exhibits to life. We had the tour in English, but of course she could do it in French as well. It makes such a difference to the visit. It's worth every penny or cent or euro, I guess. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but I really recommend you do this. We then went from this museum back up to the Office de Tourisme, the tourist office, up in the square. And did you know they will lend you a set of boules pétanque for free? You go in and you leave a piece of ID, and in exchange they'll give you a really nice set of pétanque to go and play. It was a really fun afternoon, a very French way to spend our afternoon together, and I'd highly recommend it. Another outing that I would recommend was in Nice. It's the Musée Asiatique in Nice. We went along to the Samurai Warrior exhibition and I, again, was blown away. I just never really thought about the Samurai Warriors. I guess I thought it was more for boys, which in this new gender fluid world probably isn't the right thing to do. So we learnt so much. Again, we took a guide. This time was in French. And the teenagers, girls, boys, and the adults really found this fascinating, how the Japanese culture links into the samurai warriors. just so fundamentally, it was really, really interesting. So we still have the Indian summer weather conditions going on. It may rain again soon. I know that we are praying for a little bit of rain. Well, these are 2 outings that you can do come rain or shine. And I've got more tips that I'm going to share at the end, so just stay tuned for a little bit more on that. Well, La Rentrée is well underway. We've got that under our belts, haven't we, mums and dads? And can you believe there's another holiday coming right up? But I sort of feel that this time of year is a time when the children are back settled in school, everything's back to normal, people are back from their holidays. And it sort of feels a little bit like New Year, a time when people are coming back off holidays, where they've had some downtime to reflect on their lives and what they want to do next. So I started a thread in Côte d'Azur Living, which is my online Facebook group. It's now got over 7,500 members. So it really is the place to find out about Côte d'Azur Living, full of practical information. And I was just having a recent scan of the posts, and I can see lots of requests and member recommendations for, like, where's the best masseuse, where's a good mechanic, I need to learn French, where would you recommend I go and get French lessons. There are sometimes some funny rants, and the admin team, well, we do keep a close eye on them, as some people don't seem to have their social media filters completely in place, and they say things that they feel is okay, but it's not okay in this forum. This is a safe place for you to come and ask those questions and get support from the local community. And I'm aided and abetted by the wonderful June, who comes and helps me admin that group. So that's Côte d'Azur Living on Facebook. Really recommend you join that group. Anyway, back into discovering about life on the Côte d'Azur. Well, next up is Claudia Sellegard. I met Claudia many, many moons ago, actually, through her oldest child, who came to Kidderland to learn English. So you're going to hear a little bit about her journey, which went from the traditional and now into a more alternative, holistic pathway. It's a really interesting course that she has taken, and I love the fact that she took time to listen to her calling and to make the necessary changes in her own life and do something about it. Well, there you go. We're going to keep it short and sweet for La Rentrée. Enjoy September, and we're going to be back soon with some more Côte d'Azur Living for the Riviera Firefly. Let's roll. Today with us on the Riviera Firefly podcast, we have Claudia Sellegard from Cercle d'Energie. Hi, Claudia. How are you?
Hi, Antonia. Thank you. Very good. I'm well, and thank you very much. It's beautiful to be here with you.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm so excited to hear all about what you've been doing, because we met a long time ago, through Kidderland, when your children were really small. Exactly. And of course now they're probably taller than you, or at least one of them will be. And
correct.
And totally changed your pathway in life, haven't you?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. I wanted to just get to know bits that I don't know about you. So, for example, I know that you're German. Wondered if you had a childhood memory that you could share with us from back in the day.
Back in the day, yeah. I have actually a childhood memory, but it might sound a bit morbid now, because actually it was at my grandmother's funeral. I was about 10 years old. We were in church, and then I had that connection, and I received a message from above. That actually she was well, she was happy, that the people should stop crying, and that I should tell them, which I actually did. And I told my mother, and she told my uncle, who suffered a lot by the loss of his mother, and all the others. And strange, but at this time I didn't realize that it was a beginning of things which I'm actually still doing now.
Wow, that must have been so comforting for the people that you were with to have that message, and very interesting that it's actually led you on your journey to where you are now. What brought you to the Côte d'Azur?
Oh, that's the Côte d'Azur. Actually, I know since the age of 13. So I'm German and lived in Germany, and I was very fortunate that my parents bought a tiny little holiday house here in Miramar, which is close to Semer. And there I already spent all my summer vacations, and I always loved it. I loved to be here. I had a wonderful time, and I kind of brackets grew up just for the summers. Loving the French way of living, the French food, the sound of the language. I always loved the French language, and let's say a little bit the more laid back attitude compared to the more square German attitude. And so when I was 28 then, my wish to stay here the whole year round and to work at the Côte d'Azur became stronger and stronger. And I started thinking about moving. And then it was at the end of 1999 that actually I quit my job, I quit my apartment, which I had close to Munich. And at the beginning of 2000, I came to France and looked for a job. So I said to myself, well, if I find work, then I stay. If I don't find any work, then I'll just make an extended holiday, go back to Germany and give it a new start there. And then I actually found, work in a real estate agency at the time. And on my third working day, I met my future husband. So, and that was nice to say.
Quick work.
Absolutely.
It's like a fairy tale, because then you lived happily ever after in the south of France.
Exactly. The dream come true.
So you stayed working in the real estate industry for a while. I think that's what you were doing when I met you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then I had some kids and everything. Right. And then I guess, like many mums, actually, you kind of reassess your situation, don't you? Because maybe the way that you were working before doesn't necessarily suit
the way you want to work in
the future.
Yeah. That was exactly how it was. Yeah.
So, talk us through it. How did the change come about?
Yeah, the change was, as I said, I had always been a spiritual person. And as I mentioned earlier, already since childhood, I had, my own beliefs in the divine source, which wasn't always easy when you grow up in a very Catholic society. And I was about 20 years old when I noticed that I can feel energy in my hands. Which means like that they were kind of swelling, especially when I was in some spiritual places. But still at that time, I still didn't realize that I could maybe actually help people with that. And it was then due to my own medical situation, because I was in childhood diagnosed with a scoliosis, which means that the spine has an abnormal curve to the side. And it was a friend of mine who introduced me then to a treatment, which is called the divine straightening of the spine. And that was in Germany. And this treatment not only had an impact and, of course, an improvement on my medical situation, but it was like an awakening. It was a wake-up call. And actually from there it all started. I made education for being spiritual healer. I made all the Reiki degrees. I'm now a Reiki master and teacher. I'm a practitioner and teacher for the energetic straightening, what I had. And I studied together with Doreen Virtue all about the angels, became a certified angel intuitive, a certified angel card reader. And it was a process actually over a few years. Since 2012 was the beginning, and at that time I was still in my former job, being employed, and until then I just wanted to follow actually my heart and my passion, and opened in my own private practice in 2015 in Théoule-sur-Mer. So that's how it all started.
And what a change in direction from real estate to that. But brilliant that you took the plunge and went ahead and did it. Now, some people might not know all these treatments. Mm-hmm. I think I have tried Reiki or Reiki. How do you pronounce it?
Reiki, I say Reiki. Yeah.
So how would you explain that to someone that's never had that before, or what does it entail?
Mm-hmm. So it's all about energetic healing. And the energy is what surrounds us every day and everywhere. Everything in the universe is made up of energy, and we're in permanent exchange with the life energy. We're all connected. And so during a Reiki session, the energy actually flows through my hand. So I'm the channel. I'm the channel for this life energy, which flows through me and through my hands to the body of the person. And actually, I feel where the body needs the energy, where it needs more. Sometimes less is needed in different parts. and the body only absorbs there where it's needed. So very, very often people come to me and for, let's say, for example, a shoulder problem. And I say, okay, no problem, we start. And then suddenly I feel during the treatment that there's also a problem with the knee, or maybe with the ankle or stomach or other things. And during the session, I usually don't talk, but then afterwards we have kind of a debriefing where I explain everything which I felt. And then they say, oh yeah, true, I twisted my ankle the other day, and totally forgot. So really the energy in connection with the body, they exchange, and they speak to me.
And what's amazing, I think, I remember when I did it, is you don't actually touch, do you?
No, exactly.
It's kind of there's a gap between your hands and the person's body, so I guess they can stay closed and what have you, and you can.
Exactly. So actually the eyes are closed, and it can happen that sometimes I say, okay, maybe I do touch, but in general I work in the aura, which is around us. Yeah, as you say, about a few centimeters around us. And the exchange is there, and the people, they feel it. Very often you can feel some heat, you can feel some tingling, and it's a very, very deep relaxation as well.
And it is, I guess you will have people, I know if I explained to my husband that this is what I was going to do, unfortunately he's not very much in the holistic thing just yet. That's just time, right? I just need to explain it more. I went and had Chinese acupressure done once, and it was amazing. It really was. I really felt tingling everywhere, and I had to explain it to him in a more practical terms, like think of a hose pipe that's got a kink in it, and then you let it straighten again, and suddenly the water rushes through. That's kind of like the energy in your body.
Exactly.
Once I talk about things in the garden and cars, he gets it.
Right. Exactly.
What about cleaning, energetic cleaning for the homes? Is that a bit like feng shui? What's that exactly?
Kind of, yeah, exactly. So it's, as I said, everything is energy, also in our surrounding. And for example, especially people who move houses or apartments, you still have the energy of the previous owner. They might have their issues, have had their issues, and then I think so that energy is still there. And if I do the cleaning, the energetic cleaning, which I can do from distance, then everything is balanced and harmonized, which people feel, and they notice that.
Yeah, I've definitely gone in. You've gone into houses before where you sort of feel it was sad.
Right.
You can feel that when you walk in the door sometimes, can't you? And then others you can feel are really bouncy and lively, or calm and serene. You can,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really amazing when you connect to this life energy. And important also for the Reiki sessions is really the point that it's the healing on the holistic effect, so holistic means treating the entire person, so the mind, the body, and the spirit. Because when the body and mind and spirit are in harmony, we are healthy. And if you only have one of the components, which is being unbalanced, then we are more likely to get ill. So, for example, if you have a feeling since a while that you're really uncomfortable, like in your apartment or in your surrounding, or maybe in a job, and you don't do any action steps to change it, then you will sooner or later get into a situation where you feel unbalanced. And if that situation stays on for too long, your body might react and create some type of illness. And usually what happens, if people go to the doctor, they get a medication, and the symptoms disappear. But what happens to the actual root of the illness? So it's still existent. So therefore, I think it's also very important that even if you have certain medical course, it's a supplementary, so it can go hand in hand, and really look for the root of the origin of the actual illness.
Yeah, it's totally complementary. Totally agree.
Right. Yeah.
And for children, then I think you also do some sort of meditation. They have such stressful days here, very long at school, particularly in this country. I find, my daughter leaves at 7 a.m. To catch a bus, and sometimes isn't back till just before 6, which is a longer working day than me, actually.
Exactly.
So what can you do to sort of try and help reduce their stress and to help them relax? What kind of things would you suggest for them?
Mm-hmm. So, as I do also some little workshops for that, is we do some little meditation, just to get them focused a little bit on well, it's a relaxation, but still not falling asleep, being still aware and attentive. So the meditation is like a little voyage, which I do through the countryside and the ocean and giving them pictures. Then we speak about crystals, get them the awareness of, as I work with angels, that angels are there to help us, to support us, that they can...
They must love that.
They love that, yeah, especially for the children. It's yeah, and we do the drawing of mandalas, all in a very child friendly manner. And also, I have some exercises for them for falling asleep, because many children also have a little bit the problem the whole day, as I said, a long day, still working on them, and just little exercises which help them to fall asleep easier.
Wow, that's brilliant. Well needed, I think, to make sure that people have this balance between what seems to be becoming a busier and busier and switched on life. Yeah. You do need to plan in that time out, mindfulness and relaxation and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we can't move on without talking about angels. So this is going to be a totally new thing for many people. What does an angel card reading? So let's imagine I've come to see you. Would I come just like that, or would I have had someone that's died? Or it's not really that kind of no. So so I come to you. How does a session go? What happens?
So the healing sessions is actually something which is then more on the mental and emotional level for people, for example, who might feel stuck in their actual life situation, who might suffer from trauma, separation, divorce, grief, who might have depression, anxieties, or just people who would like to make certain life changes, like in their work, partnership, and they're just missing the courage. So I can feel blockages. Sometimes people just say, well, I don't know, I just don't feel well. And then I kind of scan them with my hands and feel where are blockages. And then I see pictures, or I get the information, what it's relying on or what it's linked to. And sometimes I just need a few words, and then people sometimes themselves get the connection. Oh yeah, that's true. That's due to, they know the problem with it. And then we can remove these blockages, and they feel lighter. They get a different spirit. Important also is to say, I'm a spiritual coach. I'm guided. I get the messages, but I don't want people to get mixed up. It's not about religion. It's really, I have a connection to however you want to say, source, the universe, and I'm guided to tell them what's important for them to know at this moment.
That sounds beautiful and calm. Your voice sounds so serene and calm as well.
Thank you.
Has it been challenging setting up your cabinet and getting launched, or has it just been a nice little breeze, easy?
It has been challenging, and I would say the challenge is still ongoing a little bit, because it's actually to spread the method and the benefits of using Reiki or other forms of holistic approaches, especially now, for example, the integration of angels as a support for the everyday life, especially to French people. I know in the UK, they're much more open, and Germany and Switzerland, but the French, they're very hesitant. They are not so open. For them, angels, they belong to the church. So that's still a little bit slow process for the French people to get this awakening, or for them to have an open mind towards holistic methods. And we take our time, and that's why I'm here to help and to spread and to open up.
You do it in English, obviously. Do you do other languages as well?
Yeah, I do French and English, actually. I mean,
that's pretty good. So you don't do it in German, actually?
Well, I could, of course. I don't have so many German clients, funny enough, down here, but I have mainly really English and French.
Yeah, it's an international thing. It just takes time sometimes with more niche, holistic practices to become more mainstream.
Yeah.
What have you got in line coming up in the next, sort of towards the end of this year, next year?
Mm-hmm. I have actually a quite exciting project in front of me, and I can't wait until it starts in November. I attend an education which is called the New Homeopathy, or Medicine to Draw. It's kind of based on the principle of healing illnesses through, let's say, transmission of information to the body. So, for example, with the help of geometric signs. So it's a combination between Chinese elements from Chinese medicine and kinesiology. And then the transmission of information to the body.
So how does that work? When you say draw, you mean someone would be drawing on paper, or?
I can draw on paper certain geometrical signs, which will be measured before. And then you make a transmission from that to water. And that's then the kind of medication, the water you drink. It will be as well measured how often a day, how many days, if then the sign needs to change. Or you can draw directly on the body.
Wow.
So that is quite interesting. Kids love that, by the way. I have, there are signs for the children who have fever. You just draw a few lines with the green color, for example. You can do quite interesting things. It's quite exciting.
Brilliant. And that's in November. So
I do the education in November, exactly. And I guess by the end of this year, I will have it set up so that I can include it into my present healing work.
And the best way for people to get in touch and find out about that is through cercledenergie.com.
Exactly. So the website is www.cercleenergie.com, or just there's still lots of information if you want to read about it. And otherwise, my email, it's contact@cercleenergie.com, or my telephone number.
Okay. I'll put it all in the show notes as well.
Perfect.
So people can going back to what you were saying about how this all started, the divine straightening with the spinal problems, there must be lots of people listening that have back problems, spinal problems, that kind of thing. So how does that session work? And so imagine you've been on holiday, staying in an unfamiliar bed, and you've got is it that kind of thing as well that can benefit from your sessions?
As well, exactly. It's either for chronic problems or an acute case. Well, if I compare it to a Reiki session, Reiki is a very soft healing method where you need maybe even 2 or 3 sessions. The straightening is a very strong impulse. So it has a very powerful effect. Also really holistically, because you can see effects immediately. Very often, and many people, they don't even know about it. They have maybe an imbalance in the hips, in the shoulders, like one shoulder is a little bit further up or lower down, imbalance of the hips. And then after that strong impulse, very often you can see an immediate change. So between 1 or 2 centimeters, you see the difference. We mark it, measure it, and it's quite impressive. But it also has really a strong impact on your mind. I mean, sometimes it's life-changing. People then suddenly decide to do things which they always wanted to do and never dare to, or it's a big impulse. It's quite good. And there, as it's so strong, you actually only need one session.
Wow. And for some people, it will be life-changing if they've been in pain because, the knee connected to the hip causes the spine to get out, and they have constant knee pain because of it or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I had, just to give an example, I had a 6-year-old girl, and she was growing very fast. And she was very tall for her age. She needed an inlay on her shoe, or actually an increase of one of the soles for her shoe. And we made the treatment for the straightening, and the doctor confirmed afterwards she didn't need it anymore. So it was in balance. It was great. Today she was 6 at the time. She's 10 years old. She has no more back problem.
Wow, proven by science. There you go.
That was a great one.
Stamp of approval. So it's very different, isn't it? You're working in English, but you're German, and here living in France. You must have seen so many different kinds of customs and traditions. What's one of your favorite ones living here in France?
Favorite for France? Because for me, it's funny. A big difference is still driving the car.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though it's the same side of the road.
Exactly. It's the same side of the road, but it's a different attitude, different mentality. Because I mean, the French, they do generally, they follow the rules, and but you still kind of have to anticipate and be alert because anything can happen in front or behind you. But they're all doing it the same way. So, for example, in Germany, the Germans would say, "Okay, I'm on the priority street, and I just go." And here I would say I have the priority, but I think I better check. So therefore,
totally.
But therefore, I think that the French people have a better general overview. They are more alert of what's going on. When in Germany, you say, "Well, I'm on the right," and then I go, And it's really funny when I go back to Germany again. I noticed how much I have actually adopted my style of driving to the French style, and don't talk about parking.
So it must confuse them when you get back there then.
Yeah, it's when the other's telling me, so my God, how are you driving? It's like, okay, sorry.
And I guess with your previous work particularly, you got to see lots of different parts around the Côte d'Azur.
Yeah.
Where's a favourite place for you? For someone that's just arrived, where would you recommend they've got to visit?
Well, for me, being that Zen holistic type of person, I mean, I love walking, hiking, like in the forest and in the nature, where I really feel very connected. And there I would say I have two favorite places. One is the Valmasque forest, situated between Mougins, Valbonne, which has, or Valoris even, which has about 560 hectares of woodland. I think it's really beautiful, especially I would say in the summer, because it's more shaded. And you can bring your picnic, you can go running, there's a playground. I think it's really wonderful.
It's a great one, that one. Yeah.
And then in the off season, I prefer actually to walk in the Estuel Mountains, which is also known as the Red Rocks, which expands from Mandelieu, our area, into the Var, even direction Saint Raphael. It's all connected there, and you can choose either to take a short walk, just half an hour, or you can really walk far. You can make a several hours hiking trip. And it's just beautiful because you really have the sea view from there everywhere. And it's actually also, it's not too challenging. So it's suitable for all age groups. You can go with the family, you can have senior people, and you can enjoy the sea views. You have lots of fresh air, the sunlight, you exercise your body, and you can get connected with nature.
That's a brilliant one. I haven't done that. I kind of have driven, obviously, down towards Toulon that way before. And is it sort of around there where you sort of feel like you're in America suddenly, and you've got all the red rocks up on the left-hand side? It must be near there. I've not done that myself, so
it's beautiful there. Yeah.
What about have you got any tips for meeting other people, making connections, that kind of thing?
Well, I think making connections, the best way to meet people is trying to join any type of groups. Again, going to the holistic part, for example, joining yoga classes. And there are actually plenty of English-speaking yoga classes around. Or then other sports activities or book club. I heard recently a friend of mine joined a book club. And then, of course, language schools. I think that's really great places to meet people and find people with the same interest.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea, because lots of people come here and maybe don't learn the language, and therefore they're almost isolating themselves from their neighbours, from their village or town, that kind of thing. That's a really good idea. Yeah. Committing to do some language lessons for January. I'm going to post that in our group Côte d'Azur Living, see if we can get some people signing up to learn French.
Exactly. It's important.
Are you a reader, or you mentioned book clubs? Is that your thing, reading, or more walking?
I love reading, and I have about, I think, 10 books lying, which is still piled up, which I would love to read, and I didn't have the time.
Oh, no.
But I love reading.
Have you got any tips for me? Because I've just finished a whole my pile, so I'm looking for my next lot now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a fan of Carl Gray. He has a book, it's called Raising Your Vibration. Carl Gray is a very interesting and fascinating person. So he's a medium and kind of a new age teacher for spiritual knowledge. And in that book, Raising Your Vibration, he gives actually plenty of tips and exercises for daily spiritual practice. So you don't necessarily always need to do half an hour of meditation in the morning. Even I don't have the half an hour in the morning. But sometimes it's just 5 to 10 minutes is enough to actually charge your batteries for the whole day. And this he describes actually quite well.
Excellent. Well, I haven't read that one, so that's one to add to my list. Thank you. What kind of inspirational quote? What do you sort of live by? What's your motto?
Spread the light, shine the light and the positive energy.
I love it. Well, you are incredibly positive, and I feel even over a phone line amazing energy from you. So I think it's brilliant, and good luck with everything coming up in November.
Thank you so much.
If people want to find out more, then they can go to facebook.com and then cercle, written in English, in French, CERCLE, then a D, then Energy, ENERGIE.
Exactly, yeah, that's it. Perfect.
Well, Claudia, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I really appreciate it, because I know you're very busy and a mom and probably about to rush off on a school run as well. So
that's exactly the way it is, yeah.
I look forward to seeing you again really soon. Thank you very much, Claudia.
Thank you very much, Antonia. It was wonderful to talk to you.
This episode was brought to you by Riviera Fireflies for Côte Living by your host and my mum, Antonia Beauvoisin-Brown. Please subscribe, like and share. Until the next time, au revoir les fireflies.